Welcome to Phenomena, the secret history of U.S. government psychic research, which delves into ESP, remote viewing, and Project Stargate. This video is based on the book by Annie Jacobsen, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, covering the secret history of U.S. government investigations into extrasensory perception and psychokinesis. This program is brought to you by the Series of Thoughts team. Chapter 1: The Hidden World of Psychic Espionage. For decades, the U.S. government secretly funded programs exploring the edges of human consciousness. These programs were so highly classified that most Americans never knew they existed. Over $20 million was spent on psychic research across 2 decades, involving 8 agencies including the CIA, DIA, NSA, and branches of the military. This research ran from the early 1970s until its official closure in 1995. Hidden within America's intelligence apparatus, a parallel universe of classified research pursued possibilities that mainstream science refused to acknowledge. These were secret programs operating beyond the realm of traditional science. The Cold War context fueled the fear of Soviet psychic weapons. The Pentagon worried that the USSR could weaponize the human mind to disrupt U.S. nuclear systems using psychokinetic force. A declassified report even cited Uri Geller as a potential national security threat. Uri Geller, a former Israeli paratrooper, became a psychic spy icon. He was recruited by U.S. intelligence for his alleged abilities in spoon-bending, mind-reading, and remote viewing. Even after a widely publicized failure on The Tonight Show in 1973, agencies continued to take him seriously in secret. Chapter 2 focuses on Project Stargate and remote viewing. This was the most ambitious and classified chapter in America's psychic research history, a decades-long effort to weaponize the mind's ability to perceive beyond physical boundaries. Remote viewing is the claimed psychic ability to perceive and describe a distant or unseen target without physical connection. Applications included locating hostages, describing enemy military installations, and gathering intelligence impossible through conventional means. Project Stargate, the Pentagon's psychic spy program, began in the early 1970s and became operational throughout the 80s, deploying trained remote viewers. After internal debates and expansion, the program was officially shut down and declassified in 1995. Angela Ford served 9 years as a remote viewer for the Defense Intelligence Agency. She is considered a psychic spy success story. In one case study, Ford correctly identified the location of a rogue U.S. Customs agent in Lovell, Wyoming, which was later confirmed. Ford's accurate pinpointing of the location in Lovell, Wyoming, demonstrated that remote viewing could, at least anecdotally, produce operationally useful intelligence. This case became one of Stargate's cited success stories. The science behind Stargate was a battleground between skepticism and results. While parapsychologists argued the data showed real effects, physicists dismissed the entire enterprise as methodologically flawed pseudoscience. Chapter 3 explores the people behind the phenomena. These programs involved real human beings, scientists risking their reputations, soldiers trained in the impossible, and psychics who believed they were pioneering a new kind of warfare. Investigative journalist Annie Jacobsen, a Pulitzer finalist, reconstructed this secret history through over 50 interviews with insiders and access to declassified documents, providing the foundation for the book Phenomena. Key figures included Harold Puthoff, a physicist who co-designed Stargate's scientific framework, Russell Targ, a co-founder of the remote viewing program, and Angela Ford, a successful DIA remote viewer. The faces of Phenomena, Uri Geller, Angela Ford, Harold Puthoff, and Annie Jacobsen, represent the extraordinary intersection between government power, human consciousness, and the limits of science. Chapter 4: Government Programs Beyond Stargate. While Stargate was the most famous, the U.S. government explored psychic phenomena through multiple codenames and agencies over several decades. SCANATE and Grill Flame were precursors to Stargate. SCANATE focused on remote target perception, while Grill Flame expanded this work to include investigating psychic influence on electronic systems and physical matter. These laid the groundwork for Project Stargate. The DoD psychoenergetics program pursued a systematic approach to psychic research. Its aim was to scientifically validate psychokinetic phenomena, develop operational protocols for psi abilities, and gain a military advantage over Soviet programs. Psychic research reached the highest levels of U.S. military leadership, including the Joint Chiefs. They viewed psychic capabilities as a potential national security asset. Programs were heavily compartmentalized for maximum secrecy. Chapter 5 covers the science, skepticism, and controversy. The debate over whether psychic phenomena could be proven and measured defined the research and remains unresolved. Scientific challenges included the replication problem, where successful results failed to repeat. Statistical battles questioned the methods used, and experimental rigor was difficult to maintain due to controlling for bias and sensory leakage. The institutional culture faced the, quote, embarrassment factor. Researchers used code names and published results in classified channels to avoid professional ridicule and protect careers from association with parapsychology. Declassified documents paint a mixed picture. There were successes, with some remote viewing sessions producing accurate, actionable intelligence, alongside failures that yielded vague or incorrect results, and a large category of ambiguity. Thousands of declassified pages offer a fascinating, yet fragmentary, window. They reveal how the U.S. government balanced scientific curiosity, operational urgency, and secrecy, and what they were truly willing to believe. Chapter 6 examines real-world applications and missions. Trained psychic operatives tackled actual intelligence problems, and their findings, in some cases, were included in operational briefings. In operations, remote viewers were tasked with finding missing people, including American hostages abroad and domestic fugitives like Charles Jordan. They also searched for downed aircraft and enemy military installations in inaccessible geographies. In intelligence operations, remote viewers focused on sensitive Cold War targets. They attempted to psychically describe Soviet submarine bases, identify new weapon systems, and predict future military movements. An honest assessment acknowledges limitations and operational failures. Psychic intelligence was supplemental, not primary, and often unreliable under pressure. Many positive results were also unverifiable due to the covert nature of intelligence. Chapter 7, The Legacy and Modern Perspective. When Project Stargate was shut down in 1995, it opened the questions to the public, igniting decades of fascination, debate, and conspiracy theories. After more than 2 decades, the CIA's independent review concluded that Stargate had not produced intelligence of sufficient value to continue. However, declassification transformed the classified program into a cultural phenomenon. Interest continues today in academic parapsychology and private research groups. While no active government programs are known, intelligence community interest in anomalous cognition has become harder to trace, but has never fully vanished. The cultural legacy is strong. The story of government psychic programs inspired films and television, like The Men Who Stare at Goats. Declassification fueled public imagination, transforming the saga into a cultural mythology. Hollywood recognized that the reality of these programs was stranger than fiction. The psychic spy became a modern archetype, explored in various media from thrillers to comedy. Chapter 8, What Phenomena Teaches Us About Belief and Science. The story goes beyond spy missions, revealing deeper truths about human fears, hopes, and the boundaries we set for what we are willing to believe. Big questions emerged at the intersection of national security and the paranormal. Cold War desperation pushed for these explorations. The programs reveal the difficulty in balancing open-mindedness with scientific rigor, and how institutional belief shapes what gets funded and hidden. Phenomena is defined by the human stories. Scientists staking their careers, soldiers trained in the impossible, and psychics serving their country. Their stories, filled with complexity and doubt, resist simple conclusions. Looking ahead, the future of psychic research may be aided by advances in neuroscience and quantum physics. If psychic abilities were proven real, it would immediately raise profound ethical and security questions about their use and weaponization. At the frontier of human potential, the haunting question remains: how much of human consciousness is still unexplored, standing at the edge of what science can measure and what the mind can conceive? In conclusion, the U.S. government's psychic programs represent an extraordinary, secret chapter of the Cold War. Whether real or self-deception, the story challenges our assumptions about the limits of science and leaves us with an unanswered question. What if the impossible is simply unexplored?